After a week of wondering, UND football and volleyball now know who's next on their postseason schedules. Thanks for joining us for another edition of UND Sports Extra. I'm Alex Heinert. 7 days after clinching the program's first trip to the Big Dance with a win in the Big Sky Tournament title game, UND volleyball learned their fate on Sunday night. And just as Mark Pryor predicted, it means another trip to Minneapolis to take on the second-ranked Minnesota Gophers for the second time this season.
Minnesota's a great team. It's obvious they're one of the top two teams seeded in the tournament. I think for us, there's a comfort level with us going to the Pavilion just because we've played there already. We will have probably a bigger fan base than anyone there, bigger than Hawaii. It'll be bigger than USC, not as big as the Gophers, but we'll still have a good number of fans there, and that's going to help us out.
UND took a set off Minnesota in their first meeting of the year back in September, falling to the Gophers in 4 at Williams Arena. UND has gotten 19-3 since that defeat. Minnesota went 25-4 this year overall, and they have won 10 straight to close out the season. They also boast an NCAA best 32-game home win streak that dates back to October 22nd of 2014, though that number does not intimidate this North Dakota side.
I know that Northern Arizona had the second longest win streak at home in the NCAA until we beat them a couple weeks ago. The team with the longest win streak at home in the NCAA is Minnesota. So maybe let's try to break that one.
I mean, we took a set from them, so, you know, we have to stay, I don't know, we just have to go in there knowing that we've done it before and that we can do it again.
UND plays Minnesota at 7 p.m. on Friday. The winner of that match will play the winner of number 13 Hawaii and USC in the second rounds on Saturday. Speaking of the second round, UND football found out their second round opponent for the FCF's playoffs this Saturday, and it's the University of Richmond. The 12th ranked Spiders rolled North Carolina A&T 39-10 in their first round matchup, setting up a date with the Fighting Hawks at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Ironically, it'll be Richmond's second trip to the Peace Garden State in just under a year as the Spiders lost to North Dakota State in the FCS semifinals in Fargo last December. Regardless of the opposition, though, after 2 weeks without a game, UND is healed up and excited to get back on the fields.
There's definitely a lot more energy. Just like from practice today, you just kind of notice a lot of the guys more energy, bodies are feeling better. You know, having 2 weeks, it makes a big difference. You'd be surprised. I mean, even just having 1 week did, but especially having 2, it's a game changer.
The anxiety kicks in after playing 11 straight weeks, and then you get 3 weeks off, and just biting to get back now. Guys are getting healthy, so that's a good thing, and we're excited to get back to business.
Richmond went 8-3 this season, including an FBS win over Virginia, but a rash of injuries led to the Spiders dropping 2 of their last 3 to finish the year 4th in the Colonial Athletic Association. Still, this is a dangerous team that's coming to the Alerus Center, and North Dakota knows it.
They're going to be a good team. You know, they're at the top of they're in the top of the country, so it's going to be a battle. You know, we're going to have to come and play our best game. There's no easy games come playoff time.
They're kind of a smash mouth football team, kind of like Stony Brook, so that's what we're expecting. It's going to be a dogfight. It'll be fun.
We'll have more on the second round matchup against Richmond coming up after the break as Bubba Schweigert joins us here in studio.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance and the University of North Dakota.
Welcome back. Well, joining us now, the head coach of University of North Dakota football and the newly crowned Big Sky Coach of the Year, Bubba Schweigert. Coach, congratulations on that honor, certainly, and for the honors that your team earned this week, certainly well deserved.
Thank you. You know, it's great recognition for our team to have all conference players and the Defensive Player of the Year, and you know, our staff and players do all the work, and then they put somebody's name on the award for Coach of the Year. But it's sure been a group effort, and you know, now it's time to focus and move forward and get ready for the NCAA playoffs.
Yeah, certainly. And you've had a couple of weeks now to gear up for that. This has been, before we get to that, though, this has been the second straight open week, but you've been adding people to your program in the form of children. You pick up 2 babies this last week with your staff. Congratulations on the new additions.
Yeah, it's great to have Tucker Freund and Harrison Schmidt with us, and we got one more on the way, you know, but there's a personal aspect to this, and just great to, share that moment with those families, and babies are healthy and moms are doing well, and that's a great part of our program.
Yeah, pretty good family planning too to make that happen in between a couple of bye weeks before the playoffs.
Very good planning.
Well, from a football standpoint now, it has been a little while since your last game. Kind of talk us through the last 7 days with that open week last week.
Well, we wanted to do the right thing and get our team healthier, but we still needed to stay football sharp, and we're concerned about the conditioning of our team with not playing for 2 weeks. So, we had a good practice Monday, we worked out on Tuesday, had a good practice on Wednesday morning, and then wanted to give our guys some time off to have some family time. We had approximately 70 guys go home or with friends to homes to celebrate Thanksgiving, and other guys we celebrated as a team here with them, and it was a great time to be together. And then we got back to work Friday and worked out Saturday, and we had a tough day of conditioning on Friday and Saturday just to get our guys keep them in shape and try to, really stress them a bit because we haven't had a game for a while.
Yeah, typically the only teams in FCS that get this kind of a break are the teams playing for the national championship. So or kind of a unique situation for you. Hopefully one you'll get to experience in a couple of weeks. But how did you and your staff settle on this schedule to try and find that right balance between rest and staying sharp?
Well, you try to, look at your health of your team, talk to sports medicine, and the strength staff is definitely involved in these decisions, how we go about planning the week, but also just reach out to friends, that have had open weeks, and whether they coach in Division II and had open weeks, or Division III or Division I, you can talk to anybody and learn and try to get some ideas how they handle those weeks.
Injury-wise, you mentioned last week, some of the guys that people have been monitoring, people like Keaton Studsrud and John Santiago, who's been a little banged up, a lot of those guys on the offensive line. You said last week there had already been a big change just in how they had looked and how they had felt. I can only imagine an extra week now. That makes a huge difference for these guys to be fully fit in time for the second round coming up this weekend.
Yeah, like we said, the bye week is an advantage if you make it one, and do the right thing and keep your team in condition and get those guys healthier. And even those guys nursing injuries had to condition and do what they can to stay in shape. But we are much healthier than we were after we played Northern Arizona, and that's got to help us going into this week against a very good opponent.
You had a chance last week to sit down and be able to watch some football for the second week in a row, a round of first-round games where 7 of the 8 teams that won were playing at home. And there's no guarantees certainly at this level and at this time of year, but that's got to serve as a nice reminder of how big home field advantage can be in the playoffs.
Well, it can be if you play well. I think it helps you. The crowd and the environment can help you when you play well. Take care of the football. Tackle well and get to favorable downs for your team, which is second and manageable, third and manageable for your offense, and then third and long for your opponent. Those things are going to be so key in this football game.
You mentioned this football game. One of the 7 teams who was at home who earned a win was Richmond, your opponent now coming up this weekend. They looked pretty dominant in that game over North Carolina A&T. This is a program that is used to this stage. They've been to the playoffs now 3 straight years. Talk about what you know about the Richmond Spiders.
Well, we've been studying them as best we can and try to learn more and more about them. But this is a team that has a national championship back in 2008. This is a team that's been to the playoffs. They've been on the road in the playoffs, the semifinals last year. So they're experienced, and this will be nothing new for them. The big challenge for us is to play well and to stress them when they get into our environment. But very good football team, good balance on offense, with throwing the ball and running, and very strong up front on defense, athletic in the secondary, and big play capability on special teams.
A very unique situation for them at quarterback, where their starter, who was the preseason player of the year, tears an ACL in the last game of the regular season. They pulled a red shirt on a sophomore kid who's very talented at coming in. What do you know about this new quarterback, Kevin Johnson, and how that offense changes now with him at the helm?
Well, they didn't change a whole lot. He's very capable, and if you're planning on redshirting a sophomore, you have plans for him in the future in your program. So they feel like this guy is capable of starting, and he sure proved that with his performance last week. He was very efficient in the pass game, threw for over 300 yards and took care of the ball, which is probably the most important thing. And he seemed very comfortable running their offense. So he's very capable of coming in and playing another great game. Yeah, well, regardless of what Richmond does, they get the sense this is all about you, about UND and what you can do and trying to play your game. I know that's the case and the way it's been all season long, Coach. That's what we focus on. We focus on our preparation. We get a little extra time here with having a bye and need to take advantage of that. But, really we got to have good energy on the practice field with really great focus And then you get to Saturday, and you have to be at the right emotional level to compete at a high level.
Yeah, well, we're excited for this one, the biggest game for UND in D1 program history. Be sure to get out and support Bubba and the guys, 5 o'clock at the Alaris this weekend. Best of luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Cool. Bubba Schweigert, everybody. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk some UND men's hoops. Brian Jones and the crew out in Ohio for this past week. We'll recap the week for UND men's basketball when we come back. Welcome back. Well, college basketball season now in full swing, and here to catch us up on the recent exploits of the UND men's basketball program, head coach Brian Jones. And Brian, you had a chance to get some of the early season rust off the tires in the first couple games, 3 home games to start off the season. Maybe some slow starts in each of those games, but that's expected getting the season going.
It is. I think just being nervous. Obviously, I hadn't played for a year, and we got a lot of new guys in different roles, but once we really dialed in and got our focus, especially defensively, I think it really showed that we have an opportunity to do many special things out there.
Yeah, 3 straight wins at home before you hit the road over Thanksgiving weekend. The Men Against Breast Cancer Classic in Dayton, Ohio. You had a chance to play 3 good mid-major programs. It started with a really tight back-and-forth contest against North Florida.
It was. I thought we came out with some urgency to start, and then they went to a zone, got us out of a rhythm a little bit offensively. But it was a very good basketball game. We knew we were going to have to play well to have a chance to win. They have great length, a lot of leadership coming back, a great player and a guard that who really makes them go. But you know, it came down in that game, late in the game, that we just we got back from the lead, and it came down to foul shooting. It sounds simple. We executed what we needed to execute. You cannot go 15 of 25, even on a neutral floor, against a quality opponent and have a chance to win. You just can't do it. It's too tough.
15 total lead changes in that game, a really fun back-and-forth contest. You were down by 8 at the half, and it seemed like in the second that defensive intensity really picked up for you. They got you right back in this contest.
It did, and it led us to some easy scores. I think in the second half we were really defending at a high level. If you look, even at all 3 games, you look at our defensive statistical stats, they were in our favor, so that's what's promising. Now we can tighten some things up. We didn't turn the ball over very much, but when we did, it was catastrophic, meaning we turned it over, it led to their easy baskets. Against good teams, you can't turn it over and then give up layups. So I was honestly, for the 3 days, I was really excited about, even though we lost 2, I thought we showed a lot of grit, a lot of togetherness, a lot of stick-to-itiveness, or whatever word you want to use. And I know I had some questions going into the 3-day weekend. There was a lot of those questions were answered.
At the tail end of that North Florida game, Quentin Hooker, who had 29 points in that contest, hits a free throw to put you up by 1. The reigning Atlantic Sun Player of the Year, Dallas Moore, goes down, hits a tough shot to put them up 1. He had a chance right at the end. Gino Crandall, just a really tough off-balance look that just didn't quite go. But again, an opportunity to win the game at the end, which is all you can ask for.
Yeah, and they zone press back to the zone. That's why we didn't call a timeout. We wanted to get it out quickly and get something down on the rim, because he had done it a couple times in that half, got on a make, gotten down, and gotten right to the rim. So that's where we can continue to get better and get more experience at that, getting a quality shot. I would say that in that game, and even the game on Sunday, just understanding what type of shots we want when the clock is getting low and the game's getting tight. I think those are all things that are fixable. The foul shooting is correctable. Learning how to play in crunch time and what shots we want, shot selection is correctable. And even some defensive lapses, they're all correctable. So I really like where we're going. Like I said, I mean, it was a tough way to start the weekend, but I really thought it got our focus.
Yeah, tough 1-point loss on Friday. Saturday, you play the hosts in Wright State, led now by former South Dakota State head coach Scott Nagy. They always preach defense in that group, but they have a couple kids who can really fill it up, and you guys had a tough time with 2 other guys, though you limited the nation's leading scorer to just 10 points in that contest.
Well, it's one of those deals, you got to pick your poison.
Yeah.
So we tried to take away their best player, put bodies around him all night, and we knew their one wing who shot it well. He shot it well the next night as well. He's too talented not to shoot it the way he's capable of shooting. So we had to, it's kind of those deals like, all right, we're going to live with this. We got to take away that. I thought the things we wanted to take away, we took away. But again, it's crunch time. In that game, it came down to crunch time. We played well. Our defense was really good. It's crunch time, and that game is crunch time shot selection. We got guys, and I love them, but some of them want to save the day, and it's all about, all right, what do we want, instead of like, oh, I can get us going by making this shot. So that's just maturity and understanding what we shot with the shots that we want during the crunch time of the game.
Yeah, certainly. 4-point loss there against Wright State. You finish up with another chance to finish the weekend with the win against Cal State Bakersfield, the tournament team from a year ago. Another really fun back and forth type of a contest. Talk about that game against the Roadrunners.
Oh, it started really slow. It was one of the coaches said, it was like a rock fight. It was 6-6 with about 14 left in the half. There wasn't a lot going for either team. Both teams were extremely tired. But that second half, the biggest thing is we came out and they jumped on us the second half. We didn't give up. We held them scoreless the last 5 minutes of the game, so we were able to finish that.
Yeah, a great 16-0 run to cap it off. Connor Evans with the big tip in. His only bucket of the ball game comes as time expires to give you a huge 57-55 win. How big was getting that victory just to finish that weekend on a high note?
Well, it was a quality win against a quality opponent. I think that these type of wins that could really catapult your season for the rest of the year.
Well, looking ahead now, you get to go on a bit of a break coming up. You don't get to have a game until the following Wednesday at North Dakota State. A chance to kind of fine-tune some things between now and then. Coach, best of luck on the practice court. We'll talk about it with you soon.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Brian Jones. Coming back, we're going to talk with Travis Brewster, head coach of UND women's basketball. UND giving the Big 12 Kansas Jayhawks an overtime scare this past week. Let's continue talking UND basketball with the head coach of UND Women's Hoops, Travis Brewster. And coach, after starting the season with 3 close losses against good opposition, you had a chance to get back on the winning track against Mayville State, and you did so. And those are the kind of games that you expect to win, but at the same time still feels good to get back in the habit of seeing the W on the score.
Yeah, there's no guarantees out there when you play the game of basketball. I thought our team did some nice things offensively. We moved the ball a lot better. Defensively, we got after it a little bit. Mayville did a great job of coming out and throwing the first punch, so to speak, and knocking down shots and kind of creating some havoc. But we got in our groove, and it was just nice to try to get some, flow in our substitution patterns, some flow in the gameplay.
Yeah, I felt like the second and third quarter, things kind of settled down for you, really got the type of game you want to play, crashing the boards, scoring inside. That seems to be the MO for this group.
Well, the big thing is you got to get it inside to open up the outside, and we got to get Lexi Clayble the ball down there, and also Samantha Roscoe in the post or Holly Johnson. And that lets the outside shot flow a little bit more, but we always got to rebound.
Yeah, that win was a week from today, and then you went this weekend and took on another Big 12 opponent, your second Big 12 school this season down in Lawrence, Kansas. The Jayhawks, another one of these kind of top-tier programs, Power 5 schools like you've played earlier this season with Texas Tech, with Iowa, with Drake. How big is it to test yourself against these non-conference opponents before you hit Big Sky play?
Yeah, it's something that we got to do. Coach Schneider's in his second year there. He's trying to build something special. It's a tremendous place to play the game of basketball at. But you gotta play people, and we're not just trying to be good in our conference. We're playing people because we want to be a good basketball team no matter who we play. And obviously you're playing to win championships. We're one big conference, but you can't win the championship right now. You have to build those championship habits, and be able to play Kansas really showed us what we need to do.
Yeah, let's talk about that game against the Jayhawks. You were down by 8 after the first, but you used a nice 13-0 run to finish the half strong. You take a 4-point lead into the break. What was working during that stretch?
Well, the biggest thing that was working for us was rebound transition points. That was going well for us, and I thought our defense was really staunch for a little bit. Then we started giving up some things that were too easy, but that kind of got us in our flow. It was just really our transition.
You led the entirety of the third quarter. You stretched that lead out, but to 10 into the fourth. They go on a bit of a run towards the end of the quarter. What happened over those last 10 minutes?
Well, first of all, you got to take care of the basketball. You can't turn it over. The other part about it is, you still got to score. And we kind of went back on our heels of trying not to make a mistake and still staying assertive in that situation. Essentially, even in that type of situation, you could trade baskets back and forth if you really wanted to. And we didn't get any points, and it was a little slow and we got a little tight, and you got to stay loose in those type of situations.
Yeah, you mentioned after the game the team needs to kind of work on building that composure, finding that composure in moments like that. That's something that just comes with game time, I'm assuming, right? Tough to simulate that in the practice environment.
Well, the big thing is it comes with games, but at the same time it comes with the level of concentration when you're tired in those type of situations. For our team right now, we have experience, but at the same time we have to be able to apply that experience across the board, not just in a few people. And so now, we got a week of practice here where we can get a little bit better. We can't get that game back by any stretch of the imagination, so we just have to figure out a way to get better each week and each day.
Yeah, right at the end of regulation in that contest, Sam Roscoe comes up with a big block for you. That's not really Sam's game necessarily, but a big play there to stretch the game into overtime.
Well, we gave up easy penetration, I thought, from the top, and we can't do that. Sam came through and stopped it. That was a potential game-winning basket, like you said. And, you want your seniors to make plays, and basketball players make plays. You can't control every situation out there. It comes down to understanding our principles and concepts in those type of moments.
Yeah, Kansas would eventually get the victory in overtime. They hit their free throws down the stretch. A tough 5-point loss, but still a good effort again against another team kind of in that Power 5 conversation. Another building block for this group moving forward this season.
Absolutely. You know, I'm encouraged by some of the things we're doing. Now we understand the importance of knocking down shots. We understand how important it is to close out basketball games. So, again, you know, this group is a special group. I can tell you that right now, at the end of the season, you'll be quite impressed.
Yeah. Another chance to move forward this week. You take on a team from San Francisco, and that's a team coming in from the West Coast Conference that was picked to finish kind of in the bottom half, but they're playing good basketball right now. 4-2 on the season. You get them at home on Saturday at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, you know, an NCAA tournament team as well, you know, and they do a tremendous job there. Their coach happen to know who she is. She's from the state of Iowa, so they do a tremendous job in her abilities of, you know, coaching X and O's on the floor, but they play hard, so it's a good test.
Yeah, big matchup again coming up. Those Iowa coaches, special people, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Cool. Best of luck in that one, Coach. We'll talk about it with you next week.
Thank you.
Coach Travis Brewster. Back in a moment here to wrap things up on UND Sports Extra.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance and the University of North Dakota.
Brian Adolski and the UND women's hockey team split a home series against Syracuse this past weekend. Both sides earned 3-0 victories, with Riley Houston, Emma Newton, and Jordan Hampton picking up the goals on Saturday. Number 9 UND travels to Ohio State for 2 games this weekend in the WCHA against the Buckeyes. Those are just 2 of the games in North Dakota athletics coming up that you'll want to have on your schedule, continuing Friday night at 7 p.m. as UND volleyball takes on Minnesota in the first round of the NCAA Tournament. Then on Saturday, it's 1 game after the next, starting with UND women's hoops at home against San Francisco at 2 p.m., followed by UND football in the second round of the FCS playoffs against Richmond at 5, and capped off with UND men's hockey against Boston College in Madison Square Garden at 6:30 p.m. Enjoy the full complement of UND athletics this weekend and come back with us for our next edition of UND Sports Extra next Tuesday night. Until then, I'm Alex Heinert. Thanks for watching.